order the meeting of the October 13, 2021 Fitchburg Conservation Commission. As a reminder, this meeting is an extension of the September 28, 2021 regular meeting that was interrupted by technical difficulties. The Conservation Commission has 7 members. Members are citizens residing in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. The Commission is appointed by the City Council and serves on a volunteer basis. The Commission collaborates with the residents, businesses, and organizations to facilitate compliance with the 8 interests of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Fitchburg Wetlands Bylaw. Meetings of this Commission are subject to and abide by the open meeting law. If you would like more information about any of these regulations, please ask your commissioner, the agent, or environmental consultant. Thank you for your commitment to the conservation of our natural resources. Throughout this hybrid meeting, the Commission requests that if you're at home, you keep your microphone on mute for privacy. If you're in this building, you'll need to walk up to the microphone to speak. And I want to make everyone aware that this meeting will be on a time delay on Fitchburg Access Television. And if you have any questions or you feel uncomfortable with any of that, I just want you to know that's what's going on. And so, like I said, this is a continuation of the meeting that we started on September 28th. I'm going to call the roll first. Commissioner Bro. Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Christian.
Here.
Commissioner Donnelly. Here. Commissioner Helene. Commissioner Sarfield in attendance. We accepted the minutes at the last meeting, so we can move on from there. Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open the hearing for notice of intent, Barclay Enterprises, LLC, Sheldon Road, lots 9 and 10, new single-family dwellings in the buffer zone.
I would expect that Paul Grazowitz is waiting in the wings because I saw that he had registered. So if folks can see on the screen there, just put up, these are the lots 9 and 10 on Sheldon Road.
So we'll just thank you for your patience while we work out the technical difficulties with getting the engineer for Barclay Enterprises up.
So if you folks, while we're waiting, we had a site visit out there one Sunday morning, about a month ago, and the wetlands had been reflagged from the original one, which was done during the winter time, and the plans in front of the commission members and the ones on the screen reflect the reflagging. The delineation didn't change very much, actually. And there's additional. There's additional soil logs and wetland delineation data forms that Paul Grazowitz had submitted as well after the initial hearing.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, good.
Long time, goodness, like since last night.
Yeah, sorry I'm having some technical difficulties. My computer shut itself down, and when it restarted, it wanted to update the operating system, and so I do have a tablet, an iPad here, that, and another computer that I think one of these, I think my tablet is working. So if you can hear me, my tablet's working. So yes, on lot 9 here, we did, the reflagging I did back in, I want to say August. It did change. Things got a little bit tighter, so we went with a smaller house. I actually moved the house up closer to the road because it wouldn't fit where I had it in the previous revision. And so now just the septic is down, down in the southerly part of the lot there. We're putting retaining walls in to assure that all of our work, we don't have any work within the your no disturbance zone.
So, Paul, I guess the question, is there any waivers requested of the 20-foot no disturb, 25 no build area?
No, there isn't. No, we don't. No, we're using walls where we need to keep, to keep within your, to keep out of your no disturb zones.
And has there been the septic design submitted to and approved by the Board of Health?
No, not yet. We're actually waiting to get through this first. It's ready to go. We just wanted to get through this first.
Madam Chair, do you want to take both lots, or lots one at a time, I guess? Or are they similar issues? Because we can pull up the adjoining lot as well, Lot 10.
What do you recommend?
I think deal one at a time.
So we can start with Lot 9. Is that what's up?
Yes.
Commission members have any questions? I know I did contact the nearest abutter to Lot 10, Mr. Roulette, who you remember was at the site meeting, but he was under the weather and unable to make it tonight, so.
Is Lot 10, if we're looking at it, is that the one that's,
Would be just to the
right?
east, just to the right, as we're looking at it on the plan, yes.
Mr. Grasowitz, well, I guess, do we have any abutters
Yes.
here besides Mr. Willett that would like to, hold on.
It's on this one.
Let's open the floor for public comment. Would anyone like to speak in favor of or against this hearing, or would like to request more information? Please state your name and address for the record. Will Daniel tell us if there's anybody on,
I think so, yeah.
on deck? Thank you.
Who's that man behind the curtain?
Okay, hearing none from there's no one here who would like to speak to this. Hearing none from the public, let's turn to the commission. And I do want to say that we haven't received a report from our environmental consultant. We were out there, when was that? Yeah, that's right. On the Saturday? Yeah. We haven't received a report from the environmental consultant on this yet. Turning to the commission, do you have any questions for Mr. Grasowitz?
On August 31, July 31, we hired Tim Smith, our agent, to report back to us. His comments included 5 recommendations. It addressed a larger issue than 9 and 10. All of the wetlands protection violations that existed southwest of the 9 and 10 lots. And it said stabilize the site with erosion controls, identify the extent of the violations, restore the site to pre-existing conditions, bring the site into regulatory compliance, and recommended that the commission find the responsible parties for the violation. We paid for that information. How are we going to deal with that? It comes as a report back on the applicants 9 and 10.
But that wasn't concerning 9 and 10, though.
It's directly related to 9 and 10. That's what we sent him out there for. So those are the recommendations, 31. We paid for them. How did the commission choose to deal with them?
You sent a,
On that, there was a violation notice sent out to the owner of record of that abutting property. Adams R&R LLC, to both addresses that we had. One was the old farmhouse at 112 Sheldon Road, and that got returned, not accepted. The other was to the address for Adams LLC back in Pennsylvania, and that also was returned. So just recently, we sent out a certified mail with the violation notice. But that does concern the larger, like Mr. Donnelly was saying, the larger remainder parcel from which lots 9 and 10, and all the other frontage lots, for that matter, on Sheldon Street had been split off a year and a half ago.
I didn't get all of your feedback, only that the review and site inspection report, notices of intent submitted by Adams R&R LLC, lots 9 and 10, Sheldon Road and Williams Road. So Tim's comments referenced those.
But-
And we can pay for it and not heed it, or we can address the comments that we paid for.
But Michael, the Adams R&R LLC is not the applicant here, or the owner. I know it's related because was part of the parent lot.
I simply don't want to overlook our paid agent's advice.
absolutely, thank you.
I get the disconnect. If it is disconnected, we know that Adams was the previous owner.
Right.
Tim made no reference of current and previous. Actually, he listed the applicant as, he listed the applicant as Adams R&R and not what,
Barclay.
Barclay Enterprises? No. Yeah, so I'm not confused, I'm curious what we're gonna do about that.
I can tell you about Lot 3. Lot 3 is currently owned by my client. Lot 3 is where Adams cut this road, and I call it a road, a gravel road with an embankment coming off of Sheldon Road and heading down to his pond down at the south end of the property. Now that we own Lot 3, we're going to have to, we're going to take care of that because that's one of our lots. Beyond that, actually, I don't even know how Adams or whoever buys that remainder property is even going to get in there. But we're going to take care of Lot 3.
Respectfully, my comment was challenging the Conservation Commissioner, not the applicant.
Okay,
If I were to take the muddiness out of it and deal directly with 9 and 10, my comments of last meeting were the Act recognizes the buffer zone as a significant component to the Wetlands Protection Act. The applicant proposes to develop 100% within the buffer zone and pretty much reducing its function to almost nil.
okay. Thank you. Mr. Grasowitz, do you have any comments with that?
Well, all I can say is we're meeting all of the, the Mass DEP regulatory buffers and Title V buffers, and we're also meeting the city's additional restraints beyond those of 310 CMR 10. So, I mean, yes, we're using that area, but we're placing things to meet all of these required no disturbs and buffer areas. And, it just so happens that these wetlands, which pretty much are just areas that are bleeding from across the road, that's what they leave us for upland. And, we're sizing things best we can to meet the requirements.
Are there any other commissioners who have a comment or questions they'd like to ask? Dr. Baker?
No, I don't have any.
In light of that, I do have a couple questions. While we're waiting for the report from our environmental consultant, Tim, Mark, and I did go up there on the 15th, and it appeared, I do have some photos on my phone, Mr. Grasowitz, it appeared that a large piece of equipment went through the stream there, and you could follow the track that piece of equipment took, where you could see the oil drum that was, I guess, used to fill the piece of equipment and left on site, and you can follow the tracks of that piece of equipment
Yeah.
the whole way it went. And
It broke over the stone wall, hydraulic, 5 gallons of hydraulic fluid. The can was still there, and but I'm in favor of waiting. Tim Smith was there, and we're still awaiting his report.
Sure. Mr. Grasowitz, do you have any comments on the alteration to the wetland that was done by that piece of equipment?
Yeah, Adams had that piece logged before we ever went out there, and he came across the wetland, and that's his stuff that got left there. I mean, we'll clean it up, but I just want you to know that that's Adams did that, or whoever worked for him.
So everything's just going to get blamed on Adams?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Christian,
Yeah.
you wanted to, yeah.
No, I'm in favor. I'd like to see Mr. Smith's report.
Is that a motion? Is that a motion?
Yes, that is a motion.
We have a motion on the table to continue this upon receipt of the report from the environmental consultant. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All in favor, the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Grasowitz.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Oh, wait, Paul. Of 10. We'll have the next one then, 10. Or you were only dealing with lot 9?
Well, it goes the same for Lot 10. We
Okay.
were waiting for the report from Tim. Do you want me to open it up and? Okay, we'll open so the hearing was open for Lot 9 and 10. We just had a motion to continue for Lot 9. Can I have a motion to continue for Lot 10?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a
Continue.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The motion carries. And can I have a motion to continue? Oh, so we've continued. We're good. Okay. So moving on. Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open the hearing for Notice of Intent Leclerc, proposed single-family dwelling 0 Ashby State Road. So in the meantime, we had a site visit for this. And I think this is the one where we had the technical difficulties. So I'm going to open it up for public comment. Do we have anybody, Daniel, who is waiting to speak?
Marisa Fleming to, and other than that, we have no additional people who raise their hands.
Thank you, Daniel. Councilor Fleming, would you like to address the commission?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, I have been speaking in opposition to this project due to the nature of of where it is going to be located. These homes, as I have said in past meetings, have been experienced lots of flooding. There's quite a bit of runoff water coming from the hills above, and just to uproot more dirt and trees is just going to cause significant damage to these houses at the lower end of this project. So I am opposed to it, and I hope after the site visit that this body will also be opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fleming. Okay. We have some abutters in attendance. If you would like to speak, we'd ask that you come to the podium here, and you have to speak into the microphone so that FATV can pick it up. Who would like to go first?
You want my name? Would you like my name?
Yes, please, your name and address
Record,
for the
yeah.
record.
Russell Foster, 115 Ashby State Road. I don't want to go over everything I've already gone over with you, but I do want to emphasize something that I think we all saw on the site visit. Can you hear me now?
Daniel, can you hear him? Okay.
I feel like I'm doing a commercial. Something we all saw on the site visit. One of the things I wanted you to see was the drainage I had to put in for $7,000 or $8,000. The level of that pipe is half-inch pitch I have. If Mr. Leclerc wants to build, that water's going to go into that ravine. That ravine is going to cover that pipe and flood my cellar. And there's nothing I can do to stop it. And then while we deal with the crisis, I'm going to be sitting at 115 Ashby State Road for 2 years, 3 years until this gets settled, with my cellar all being flooded. And there isn't a darn thing I can do except keep pumping it out. Because the water is going to maintain a certain level. The other thing I'd like to mention we saw on the site is where the house is going to be built. I think we all saw that big indentation in the ground, and it was full of water. Now, it was, according to Mr. Smith, Tim Smith? Mr. Smith said it was not a vernal pool, and I don't believe it was either. But there are springs there, which is causing that water to rise to the surface. That also runs in the springtime and in the fall down into my property and runs off that little river that you saw. You open that up, it's like cracking a bowl open. All that water is going to pour into my neighbor and myself as well, coming down on my property. I will not be able to keep my backyard dry at all. Like I said, when I first moved there, I put in 40 loads of dirt in order to keep it dry. Mr. Whistler also has a problem with we didn't get a chance to look at it. He could probably mention if there's a river above that water flows there. You had to get a bunch of trees cut down because all the trees died because of lack of oxygen. So what I guess I'm trying to emphasize is there is a tremendous amount of water here. And as soon as you put a shovel in the ground, that water's going to get disturbed. And water flows downhill. And who's downhill? I am. And I'm going to be the receiver of that water. And then one of the other things that we mentioned is the water's going to be flowing to the brook and more water than normal. So that's another thing we talked about as well. But I just want you to understand, even though you can always put a house anywhere, but does it make sense? And who does it affect? I mean, I can put a house right in the middle of a pond if I put enough dirt there, but it doesn't make sense because it affects other things. So I guess what I'm trying to emphasize here is that, yes, the plans might show that we can build a house there, but what are the effects afterwards? And I'm not sure of the gentleman's name, but even he didn't argue about the water coming down into that ravine, flooding me out. And there isn't a darn thing I can do at that point. So I just want to stress that, and any questions you have, I'll gladly answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forrester. And thank you for generously hosting our site visit. Thank you for generously hosting our site visit. Mr. Wetzel, is that correct?
I'd just like to bring one thing.
We'll have to have you go to the microphone, sir.
Lloyd Wenzel, 176 Fisher Road. When we were out there that Saturday, it was very convenient that we stayed to the left side of the property, and I was wondering if anybody else noticed the fact that that brook that comes down from High Rock Road through my property and on down the hill, we always were to the left of that. We never even saw the water that was bringing down, and that was running that day, and it's still running today because of our extraordinary wetland. I know it's not an official brook because it does dry up on an average summer at some point, but usually it's not until July or August, and then it's ready to go again as soon as we hit October again. And I was just wondering if anybody else noticed that we never crossed that brook, so that brook was still to our right as we were going up the hill. And that also is water influencing this whole project.
Thank you, Mr. Wetzel. Ms. Guzman, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yarisbeth Guzman from 140 Fisher Road. The reason why we're here, and the abutters are obviously, and we would like to ask you, the purpose of this meeting is obviously for you guys to make a decision. And this is why you guys are in this board, because you make the right decisions for the land. You're here to protect the land, to definitely control flood and protect the wildlife. I moved only about 2 weeks ago to my house, and I have seen so many animals. It's amazing. It's beautiful, and the area is it's breathtaking. So I will ask you tonight to please reconsider this person building this house at this location. We need to think about the adverse effect that this will happen in the wildlife. Their habitat is going to be touched, obviously. I understand this person bought this land to build a house, but you have to do, your investigations before you even purchase anything. You have to check for perk test. You have to make sure that you can build in this lot. And we all know that the way that they approach the city was pretty much in reverse. They went to zoning, and now they're coming to your board, to conservation. So I will ask you to please keep protecting the swamp, protecting the rivers, and protecting the wetland. And I know that the minute this company is going to start making construction at this location, is definitely going to make a big impact in the houses that are down the hill. Today, I actually removed a tree, and I also have to do another one, which is gonna cost me so much money because the trees are dying. They don't have oxygen. They're all rotted in the bottom. And my neighbors know about it, and I know some of them actually had to go through this also. So thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight, and I hope that the board makes the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guzman.
I'm Christine Fagoni at 162 Fisher Road. I'm here as an abutter, to oppose the building of this home. We've been through a few meetings to go over this, We've been through with the zoning planning and now with the commission here. We've been in our home for about 13 years now, and since we've been there, we've seen a lot of wildlife that's been displaced because of the solar farm that's been put in. A lot of water that's been displaced also because a lot of the trees have been torn down from the solar farm that's been put in. When it rains on our road, it sometimes will become a river, and the water runs really quickly down the road. You'll see rocks and all kinds of debris that come down the road. That water also comes down the hill. We're, higher on the hill, but our basement is still pretty damp. We have to run a dehumidifier. So our backyard slopes down because it's the septic, but it slopes down, and if you walk through the backside of the hill into the bottom of the yard in the back, it's very wet. I mean, I sink in all the time. I take the dog back there. I've said before, my dog's gotten out. I've had to chase him through the back where they're proposing to build this home, and I mean, I've come back with mud up to my knees because of, just sinking into the ground. I've seen there's several little streams that come up back there. So I'm not an expert, but to me, it doesn't make sense either to have this home there. And just from speaking to the neighbors, it sounds like it's going to impact them and potentially give them some sort of a hardship because of the result of all the water that will be displaced, so. But
Thank you, Ms. Pagano. Okay. We've got Mark LaValle. Mr. LaValle, did you have any comments that you wanted to make?
I don't really have any comments, no.
Okay, I know you're still gathering information.
Yep.
Okay. So we have not received the report from our environmental consultant on this yet. Can we have a motion to continue this until we get that report?
Motion to continue the hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So this will just go on until the next meeting. We haven't received a report from our environmental consultant yet. But I want to thank you all for coming tonight and taking time out of your day to let us know how you feel, and it's definitely in the minutes.
And on kind of short notice, too, so thanks,
Yes.
Russ. Yeah. And for the benefit of the folks who are here and, or at home, that next meeting would be what now? If you're going to this was a makeup meeting for that botched one. Last time, I think the commission made a decision to switch to the second Wednesday of the month?
I thought it was the first Wednesday.
Okay.
Was it the first Wednesday?
I think so.
First
Okay.
Wednesday.
So for the benefit of folks here, then that would be November the 3rd, which would be 3 weeks from tonight. Yeah, because this room is available.
Would it be 6 o'clock? Oh, so we'll be 6:30 from here on out, right?
I think so.
Either or, but it'll be posted, and I'll contact.
Yeah, the Water and Wastewater Commission meets here before us, so we just had to wait until they got finished with their meeting before we could get started.
It was.
If anybody wants to take a second look or look at the river that he spoke about, the water, his property, we can give you a call through Michael has my telephone number, and I'd gladly arrange something. I'll retire something.
Thank you, Mr. Forrester.
Can we clarify the time of that meeting?
Say 6. 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
p.m. Yeah. And it was the first Wednesday, right? I don't have the notes in
I thought it was
front.
the first Wednesday.
Okay.
And actually, we're going to need to vote on that, so. Yes,
Will we not get your input until you get the report back?
correct. And we'll discuss it in the next meeting. Everything's done out in the open, and you'll be able to see everything will be out in the open. You can see that. I think this meeting happened too quickly for our environmental consultant to get us the reports that we needed. But we did want to get it all, we wanted to get the meeting wrapped up.
And I'll get a copy of that report from Tim on the email and circulate it. I mean, I'll certainly give it to you, Matt, and Russ, you know how to get a hold of me. Just call, give me an email address. I mean, it's public record, so we're happy to share. Okay.
Everything we do is completely open and transparent. So thank you. Daniel, is Matt Morrow,
I believe Matt and Evan Carloni. That's right, I'm saying the microphone, but.
thanks, folks. Thank you, Mr. LaValle. Have a nice evening, everyone. I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job tonight. I'm not doing
Mr. Bullock is on the ball. So both Matt and Evan Carloni is here for the next item on that septic repair on Williams Road. And let's
Okay.
get
Thank
that.
you, commissioners. I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job tonight, so it's a little difficult and new for me. So,
What other business do we have? What other business do we have?
we've got, under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open the hearing for notice of intent Gonzalez, 292 Williams Road, septic repair in buffer zone. Please speak to the NOI. Mr. Morrow, welcome to the meeting.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Matt Morrow, and along with me is Evan Carloni from Innovative Septic Design. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you for having me on this forum. So to give you the Reader's Digest version on this, we have a notice of intent, as you can see, Michael, is flashing up on the screen for a septic replacement. Now, the septic replacement work in and of itself is not within the buffer zone. However, if you look at the plans on the back side of the plans where it says tree to be removed, you'll see a dotted line. The dotted line essentially is a perimeter drain that empties out just before a culvert that goes across the street to McIntyre to a wetland that's off the property across the street. So that is why along McIntyre Road, you see a line that says approximate 100-foot BVW setback. That was measured from the approximate edge of wet. Because the wetland wasn't able to be flagged because it was off the property, we did the next best thing, went to where the edge of wetland is, and was actually able to do a survey measurement. The work in of itself is out of the buffer zone entirely. However, we did file the notice of intent after conferring with Michael, based on the fact that you have that perimeter drain there, and we wanted to ensure that the order could be conditioned in order to protect any runoff coming out of that drain going across the street. And that's basically it.
So Matt, if I could ask, so the area, what's the nearest point of work, what's the distance between the nearest point of the work and the stream on the opposite side of McIntyre?
I measured about 120 feet.
Okay, thanks. And so with that drain line that I think my cursor shows, yes, it does. You're talking about this dotted line here, Matt, right?
Yeah, see that goes in the right angle?
Yep.
I believe that other line, that other dotted line that it connects to is another offset. I think Evan can go into that one better than I could. The dot, you can see where it says approximate drain line, reroute drain line 10 feet away from the leach field. So he is going to move the drain line over a little bit. Evan, I don't know if you can hear or if you're on.
Hi, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can have it.
All right, so yeah, that was the plan, was to move the drain line. I showed approximately, well, showing 10 feet away and also having an impervious barrier in between the drain line and the leach field. Really, the only other option on this property would have been to basically cross over the drain line and to go over in the corner, which is the western corner of the property. So, yeah, down towards the corner of the stone wall there. That would have been the other option, to basically cross over the drain line altogether. So it was sort of picking the evils here.
Okay. I think I saw, hold on a second here, that the septic plan had been approved by the Board of Health, and, yeah, they hereby granted a septic construction repair permit a couple of weeks ago. So Board of Health is okay with it. What about time frame, you guys, to do the work? This fall, or are you waiting till next year?
So my client would ideally get this installed this fall. However, excavators I know are booking out at this point. So the time frame is kind of closing on the fall, but he would ideally find somebody to put this in the fall.
Again, I just wanted to reiterate that the work, while being out of the buffer zone, and speaking with Mike, we felt it was prudent just to file the notice of intent and, get conditions to ensure that the work would protect the wetlands. I don't know if Tim's filed a report. I know I was talking back and forth at the last meeting while we were having technical difficulties, and he thought the filing was pretty straightforward, or at least he did at the time. I don't know if he's revised his report since.
Okay, and we don't have anything in writing from Tim, but you could hear them faintly a couple of weeks ago talking in the background, but we couldn't discern what they were saying.
Yeah, I guess there was, I think, someone else who might be on your commission or is some type of associate member. I couldn't make out the names, was saying he went onto the site, and he's essentially what I initially described when I attempted to do my first presentation. I don't recall who it was, though. So if that person's not there, I can't verify those remarks.
Okay, let's open the floor for public comment. Would anyone like to speak in favor of or against this hearing, or would like to request more information? Daniel, is there anyone waiting to speak to the commission? What was that, Daniel?
No one has their hand raised.
Thank you. Thank you. Hearing none from the public, let's turn to the commission. Gentlemen? Dr. Baker?
I would think that, given the nature of this, it's a replacement of a failing septic system, that it's pretty urgent that it be approved so that it can be built, and the problem will be alleviated, hopefully.
I agree, yeah.
I have a motion to make, following your comment.
I have no comment.
Motion to approve the plan as submitted with boilerplate conditions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, and we'll get the order of conditions out to you. Mr. Morrow?
Folks, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. And this forum that you're doing with the Zoom platform seems to be working really well, by the way.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Morrow.
look forward to hopefully seeing you in person sometime very soon.
Before you go, now, who should get the original of the order of conditions, Matt or Evan?
I would send it to me, and I will work with Evan on that to ensure that it's recorded.
Okay, good. We'll do that.
Mr. Morrow, I hope you have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too.
everybody.
So can we have a motion to close this, well, the chair closes this hearing, I guess, and,
So we're not going to talk about Route 2 anymore, or did?
Yeah. Well, you're not closing the hearing, right?
I just
I mean,
closed
not the
that
meeting.
hearing.
Oh, that hearing.
I'm not
Okay.
closing I'm not
I see.
closing the meeting, I just closed the hearing.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I told you, this is difficult to do it this way.
Because there are a couple of folks who didn't make it last time, or who were left in the wings a couple of weeks ago.
Correct.
Representing, well, they don't work for Mass DIT, but Susan MacArthur.
Are they here?
Dan told me earlier that they are.
Okay, so under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open the hearing for request of determination of applicability, Mass DOT Highway Division, Route 2 resurfacing and clearing vegetation within bordering land subject to flooding in riverfront area. Speaking to the request, Susan
MacArthur?
MacArthur.
Ms. MacArthur, would you like to speak, please?
Oh, there you are.
Yes. Hello. I'm also here with David Goldstein from Mass DOT. If you want to unmute him as well.
Welcome, Mr. Goldstein.
So
Daniel said it'll be a minute.
Oh, okay.
Zoom lag for a moment, we should be good.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, I'm on.
Welcome, Mr. Goldstein.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chairwoman. My name is David Goldstein. I am the environmental analyst for MassDOT on this project. I have Susan MacArthur here, who was the consultant for this project to basically get together the RDA to bring to you and get it approved, hopefully. This project is pretty self-explanatory. Not too much going on, luckily, in terms of environmental impact. We are doing some clearing of vegetation within BLSF and riverfront area.
David, I can present if you want me to take over.
Oh, no, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I'm now happy to hand it over to Susan MacArthur, who can share the rest in more detail.
Yeah, I'll just tell you a little bit more. So this project actually is in both Westminster and Fitchburg, and we have filed an RDA concurrently in Westminster. That hearing is actually tomorrow night. So the project runs along Route 2 from Main Street in Westminster through Fitchburg, ending at the town boundary with Leominster. And the work includes, it's basically a maintenance project along Route 2. Work includes milling and resurfacing of the roadway, adjusting and cleaning out the catch basins, replacing substandard guardrail, and clearing and grubbing along the side slopes and median within the state highway layout. Some of this work lies within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW and Bank, as well as the 200-foot riverfront area and within BLSF, bordering land subject to flooding, excuse me. So with the exception of the clearing and grubbing, the proposed work primarily is considered exempt activities in the buffer zone under 310 CMR 10.02 and within riverfront under 10.58(6)(b). So basically, we're here for the proposed clearing and grubbing, which I don't believe is exempt because it's more than 10 feet. It will be more than 10 feet off the guardrail, and it's also within bordering land subject to flooding. So it will occur within the side slopes and median within previously disturbed areas up to 40 feet off the edge of pavement along the main line of the highway. And where guardrail is present, it'll be cleared up to 20 feet. The vegetation will either be chipped or disposed of off-site, like into a truck off-site, and the cutting will either be done by hand or mechanical means, like a brush hog type of thing. But prior to any disturbance whatsoever, erosion controls will be, such as compost filter tubes, will be installed at the down gradient limits of work. And as I said, this project is considered a maintenance project in order to maintain vehicular safety along Route 2 for the motoring public. So, they're clearing basically, if any trees were to fall, they're clearing that far back, I should say. So if any trees were to fall, they're not going to fall into the highway. And that's the gist of it. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Mrs. MacArthur.
You're welcome.
Let's open the floor for public comment. Would anyone like to speak in favor of or against this hearing, or would like to request more information? Daniel, do we have anybody who would like to speak?
No remaining attendees.
Thank you, Daniel. Hearing none from the public, let's turn to the commission. Do we have anybody who would like to request more information or ask any questions? Nothing? Okay. Can we get a motion for a negative determination of applicability?
So move.
And a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. MacArthur and Mr. Goldstein.
Any element of
Thank you
discussion?
very much.
Huh?
I said, would there be any time for discussion?
Would you like to discuss?
Just, our agent said that it should just not be a pass for Mass Highway. And as long as those commission members voted to approve it as submitted, all well and good. I just recall hearing our agent said it should not just be a pass for Mass Highway.
Well,
So
if I could
didn't
just,
vote. I didn't vote, and I haven't forgotten that recommendation from our agent.
Thank you, Commissioner Donnelly. Ms. MacArthur?
well, I just want to say, Mass DOT, understands that it isn't just a pass. That's why they did file the RDA for this work, even though it is kind of considered maintenance. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if I had to comment on one thing that I'm aware of is finishing up, removing siltation fence, removing wattles, and the like. I think I've seen a bit of negligence in that regard.
Can I say something?
Sure.
The erosion controls will be compost filter tubes, and they do break. I know in the past they've used the siltation, the black plastic siltation fence, which you might be referring to. But these are compost filter tubes which basically break down over time, and they'll just go back into the earth. I believe they just typically, and David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, take a knife and just slice them open when they're done with the project?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's correct. The only thing that you'll see, months after the project is complete is potentially the stake, the wooden stake that is still in the ground. But the actual compost filter tubes themselves, they do degrade over time, and you'll see no evidence of them.
And David or Susan, if you mentioned, sorry, I missed, but the timeline for this, is this happening this fall, or does it wait till next year?
Oh, David, you can speak to that.
Yes, yeah. Let me get that up quickly.
I believe the ad date is this fall, but that doesn't necessarily mean the work will be done right away.
Okay, so the ad date, yes, is the middle of December of this year. Construction should begin spring of 2022, so this upcoming spring, and finish up by the end of 2023.
And just so you know, so this particular project is both, as I had mentioned, Westminster and Fitchburg, both, but there is also another project along Route 2 which encompasses Gardner and Westminster, a different section of Westminster. And David, I know that's probably not your project, but I think it's in the same timeline, so it might just be continuous that then they go to that next project.
In terms of, to get a little bit more specific as for the timing, I cannot say at this moment at what time, each town construction will begin. Construction in both towns might begin at the same time in spring 2022. They might start construction in only one town in spring 2022, and once they're finished with that town, move on to Fitchburg, let's say, later down the line. So as for the specific timeline for this project, I can't say when they'll actually begin in Fitchburg, but again, we're looking at a spring 2022 for construction to begin, and end of 2023 for construction to be finalized.
Okay. Would it be possible, David, just to, when you do have a date, just send me a note or something?
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
a few days
that would be.
ahead of
Yeah, I
time?
can ask our project manager about it to see if there is a better idea as to the timing. Again, it might, that might be down to the contractor, whoever is hired to do the work. That might not necessarily even be a known, something known right now, but I can definitely look into it and get back to you.
Okay, I think we'd appreciate that, and I can convey that on to the members of the commission at the appropriate time. Okay, so that would be great, if you could. And again, I guess, who, I shall send the negative determination to you, Susan, or?
No, it'll be Melissa Lenker. Her address is in the Boston, Mass DOT in Boston, Tim Park Plaza. It's on the form.
I got it, okay, yep, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to other business. We have a certificate of compliance.
Yeah, this was, if you recall,
This is 55 Minneapolis Avenue, Ian Brennan.
DOT guys.
Thank you.
Let's get to that spot. And, I went back to the previous one. Anyway, this was 55 Minneapolis, Ian Brennan. We had a site walk there, gosh, more than a year ago. There was an order of conditions issued by the commission. Here's some information. Went out there a couple of weeks ago along with Ian. There's a couple of snapshots of some repair work that was done to a couple of areas that had started a gully in the backyard. There was a kind of a head wall to the wetland adjacent.
The project?
Minneapolis Ave.
Thank you.
This is up by the, where the Kmart used to be.
On the other side of the street. If you go down Old South Street, that little eyebrow that you use to catch a shortcut to get to Route 2 quicker. I wasn't around, but there was a place called Pal Joey's, if the old timers remember, and this is the back side of that.
Okay.
So there's a stream, a ditch in between running from Olin Ave at South Street all the way down into, well, eventually underneath Route 2. But this is definitely in this property. There was an old house there, which Ian Brennan purchased and demolished and built on a new footprint. And this is definitely within the buffer zone of that stream.
That slope, is that in lieu of the wall, or is it ahead of the wall or at the toe of the wall?
At the head wall, it is. It's before you get to that steep drop-off.
Yep. Okay, so the wall was tight into the property, and that goes from the wall to the wetland? I see the
grass is
picture,
from-
I know the project.
The grass is from the back wall of the house to the wall,
To the wall.
to the wetland.
Okay, so that toe of the slope terminates at the wall. That's quite an elevation. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is stable. When I walked it with him, as I say, about a month ago now, there were a couple of areas where it had started to gully, and he filled it in with this crushed stone that you see there. And the vegetation all around is going pretty good. I mean, it's been through a couple of mowings already. And he has a closing.
Yeah, Mr. Brennan contacted me. He is waiting, they're waiting for the certificate of compliance for the closing on the property.
I'd like to give it, but I'm curious, I'd like to see it too.
Yeah.
I recognize it, I've been out there 3 or 4 times. I'd like to see the finished product.
Want to take a run out there tomorrow?
Well, I could do that on my own, you know,
Okay.
I don't want to hold this up, but I am curious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we could vote on it, and I'll rescind my vote if need be, but I'll go there tomorrow.
Well, this will be recorded by the time you get home.
He said it'll be recorded. You won't be able to rescind your vote tomorrow. You won't be able to rescind your vote tomorrow.
You're doing it electronically tonight? Because I
Well,
can go first.
I have it on paper. I know, like I said, he told me that he had a closing schedule for tomorrow morning, and he'll stop in and pick up, if all goes well tonight, he'll pick up that tomorrow morning.
This guy sounds like he works in the planning office. Needs it yesterday.
He's doing a couple of other projects in town. He will be.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I want to see what he did here. He demolished. Interesting.
Yeah. Up on Fisher Road as well. Remember we stopped by there on time on Eileen and Don Bingham's?
The Bingham
Yes.
property.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
he
think
bought
that's.
that?
I think that's the next one
Yeah.
that he's going to be doing.
Oh, has he done new before? He had done, oh, well,
New?
now that
Yeah.
I think of it, he wanted to do new on Water Street. Yeah, good. That's aggressive. That's good.
Yeah, he's doing one on Shea Street as well. You can see.
That's his? Hey, can we discuss that, Mike? That came before the Conservation Commission.
Just wait 1 second. We can get to that.
Things
Let's, do we have a motion to grant the certificate of compliance for 55 Minneapolis Avenue?
I don't think it requires a motion, but
Sure, it's a.
I'd like a motion in a second.
a signature would indicate it, yes, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Aye. Okay, thank you. The motion passes. Mr. Brennan has his certificate of compliance. Go ahead and sign. Commissioner Donnelly, your comment on Shea Street.
It came before the commission years ago, and I'm just curious what the commission's determination was. It was wet,
How long ago? I don't remember that
10
one.
years.
I remember one further down where Kent Oldfield's house is now.
I think it was
Like-
between those two houses. There was a depression, and the water table was sufficiently up, and someone wanted to know whether they could develop it, and there was some hemming and hawing about if it was jurisdictional. And you say you remember one further down towards the swale? I don't think there
Yes.
is any.
No, there was a new one at like 600, or it was opposite, because I know that area fairly well, opposite like Jane Ave or one of those side streets. I think that might be the one you're
Looks
thinking.
pretty high and dry there, but something was going on. Something came before us, I know that. And I don't know that anything went forward. I think it just kind of died, or... Was there another house built on that side? similar scenario between two houses? Do you know offhand?
The one I'm thinking of at like 600, 601 Shea Street in that area, that's been built for some time.
So maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
And that's
On the right.
about
Yeah, it's been
10,
up for a while.
12
Yeah.
years ago.
Okay.
It was, Zaris was the owner.
Yeah, right, okay, that's
That's
it.
a different
This
one.
This is a different lot. Begs the question why it hasn't been developed to date.
Maybe Don Bingham owned the lot, and maybe
it's
he
a
didn't-
flat- it's
maybe
flat,
he didn't want to
it's-
sell.
If it met zoning?
Yeah, it's a
Somebody
conforming lot.
would have built
It's a
it.
conforming lot, yeah. Anyhow.
Michael, you say you're going to speak with Mr. Brennan tomorrow? He's going to pick this up?
Yeah.
Okay, he had a couple questions about the property on Bingham, about the Bingham property up on Fisher Road. So you can just, he was asking me, and I told him that he should talk to you about it.
Yeah, well, there's an extension on that order of conditions, if you recall, that was issued another 3-year extension for Don Bingham's property out on Fisher Road. And I'm not sure if Ian Brennan has closed on it yet, but he's certainly interested in building there. The old house has been demolished now,
Yeah.
and that was way up there. That was demolished a year ago
Yeah.
now, I think. And that's that lot and then 2 additional lots. This is, Ralph, so you know, this is not too far down from the intersection with Pearl Hill.
What is the address?
374, I betcha. What's Dennis's address? It would be just down from that.
I don't know. You got the,
374 Fisher Road?
374 or 474, I betcha.
if you get the map, I can show you where it is. So your question is, did we extend order of conditions to Don Bingham? Is that a question?
No, I know the answer to that question. You did.
We did?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just an update that there's a transfer of that order of conditions to the new owner.
Right, and, yeah. And since we're talking about Ian Brennan, she just happened to mention the kid is interested in building and elsewhere in town.
All the more reason to check his success on Minneapolis Ave.
Yes, and actually, if you want to come, if you want to pick me up, I'll go with you tomorrow. I'll join you for that site visit tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
There's a few unfinished, more than a few, but a few more recent unfinished minutes of meetings, like 2 weeks ago and 1 or 2 before that. One thing that was filed, just so you know, in the meantime, and if you want to take a copy, folks want to take a copy of this with.
Yeah, I mean, I can, I
I have extras,
understand
but
where it is. It's sort of-
Sawmill Pond Dam
it's,
is proposed to, a portion of it
Pearl
is
Hill Road
proposed to
and
be
High Rock Road.
You got it. Dennis DeGarro
repaired.
lives at the intersection to the red
So
dot
I have a
at the
couple of more
intersection.
copies of
And
this.
then
That is the,
right in-
one of
right
the
in
next
that-
order of
right in that
conditions.
loop right
now
there.
filed.
1, 2, 3.
If we could do it, we could advertise it in time
It's
for
relatively
the,
flat. There's some,
what was the date, the 4th, or the first Wednesday, or the 3rd?
there's some wetland right
Oh, we have to actually, we need to vote on
there.
that.
Lot lines, huh?
We need to vote on changing, we need to vote on the change of schedule.
Well,
Can we vote on that if it wasn't posted?
Lost that house, and then he's gonna sneak one in here. He's gonna
I
sneak
think it
one
was
in here.
on the agenda, but from what I remember at the last meeting down on the first floor of City Hall, Brian was okay with that, and I think Mary was okay.
We did discuss it at the
Yes.
last meeting. I just want to have it be,
Yeah, and I think it was
5 years
agreed
ago, 6 years
to
ago.
switch it
Let
to
it
that
slide.
Wednesday.
but I'm just saying,
Deval Patrick.
do we want to post it
I
on
think
the
what
next
Deval
meeting
Patrick
and
gave an
vote on it on the
extension
next
to,
meeting for the updated schedule? I think
all
we should
order of
have it
conditions or
be
whatever,
posted.
and then
Okay, well,
he
that
asked
kind
for
of begs the
a
question,
second
but
one.
if
couple
the
years
next
later.
meeting is that first Wednesday, haven't you already kind of
It
decided?
expired, we gave him the,
Yeah, but we still, let's
Gave
just
permission
play
to
it
start
strictly
again.
according to Hoyle.
he's been looking
and
for
we'll,
development the whole time.
Put it on the agenda
The
for
owner
next
had a
week.
heart attack, and,
How's that?
couldn't continue it himself.
And I guess whether you're going to go forward, so the first Wednesday of December as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you know, the planning board is considering switching, but they don't have that conflict anymore, but last night talked about switching to the second, no wait, to take your old meeting date, which was the 4th Tuesday, but wouldn't start that officially until 2022. clean slate next year. So,
Okay, so we'll vote on, in the November meeting, we'll vote on our change of schedule for the rest of the year.
Please do.
And then we'll vote to have our updated schedule for the December meeting for next year.
For 2022, sure.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
And you have interest from someone filling the 7th member?
Yeah, I haven't heard back from, as far as our 7th member, we have an open spot. I did speak with Kent Oldfield, and I haven't heard back from him. And I am meeting with a constituent on Friday evening with Councillor Fleming to see if they would be interested in joining the commission as well. Try and fill our spot.
I do have one item, business-wise. MACC dues for the next year, July 1, 21 to June 30th, 2022, in the amount of $293. And there's I corrected the member list, so all of 6 of you, because they had Harry and John Cordio. But Ralph is on it, and Mary, and Mark on this one, so I guess a motion to...
Pay up.
We have a motion and a second to pay the dues for the MAC membership.
Motion to pay the dues.
And then one MACC item to the fall conference in October 19, 20, 21, and October 23rd. And I think you get, as a member of MACC, you get the emails individually about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's interested, sign up. You can take it out of
Can
the
we have
wetlands account.
a second on the motion to pay? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. If anybody would like to join the MAC conference, I think it's a hybrid conference this time around.
I believe so.
Let Michael know, and he'll get you all squared away. And lastly, I think we need a motion and a second to adjourn this special meeting of the October 13th Fitchburg Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.